Hi everyone. Today I wanted to address a question that I get asked a lot.
Shut up!
Is the stock flamethrower even viable anymore? It doesn't even seem to compete with the power of the degreaser's increased weapon switching speed. The fact is, the stock is inferior to the degreaser in terms of burst damage output, but I believe it is still a great weapon to use. I am in no way taking sides against the degreaser. To be honest, I use it more than any other weapon in the game, but I do love switching to the stock when I want a challenge or just a more relaxed playstyle. First, let's get the numbers out of the way. There are two factors to these weapons that need to be considered: direct fire damage and afterburn. The flamethrower does 6.82 hit points of damage per particle, or in other words, 153.4 damage per second if you're close enough to hug the other player. At long range, it does 4.09 damage, making that 92.1 damage per second. The degreaser has a negative 10% damage penalty, resulting in the weapon doing 6.14 points of damage per particle at close range, adding up to 138.15 damage per second. At long range, it does 3.68 damage per particle, making that 82.8 damage per second. The difference between the two flamethrowers is 15.25 damage at close range and 9.3 at long range. Because of the way the Source Engine handles these numbers, the difference between the two weapons is so small that the decrease in direct damage for the degreaser is negligible. On the other hand, afterburn between the two weapons is very different. Afterburn will always last for 10 seconds, unless the player is extinguished. The flamethrower does 6 damage a second and does a full 60 damage total once the fire burns off. The degreaser does 4 damage a second and finishes with a total of 40. Now that is a fact we can exploit. So how do we apply this bucket of numbers we just heard? Because of its higher afterburn damage, I recommend using the flamethrower as strictly a hit-and-run weapon. One thing that you should never believe is that running at people with your left mouse button glued down is entirely the wrong way to play Pyro. Pyro, after all, started out not being able to air blast before the Pyro update in 2008. Because you don't have the ability to switch to your secondary quickly like you can with the degreaser, you need to master the art of keeping the flames on your opponent. Many new Pyro players try to get desperate kills by running directly at everyone in front of them. Nothing can stop them from running straight forward. Damage, stickies, air blast, nothing is going to deter them from pursuing you until either you or they themselves die. Instead, find a hiding spot, or flank the enemy without them seeing you. Then, try and get as much burn damage as possible from behind or the side until that player starts to turn around. Once they begin the turn to fight you, air blast them away as fast as possible. This will disorient them, since most players will not be expecting to have their position changed as they try and put you in their crosshair. Depending on the enemy class, and if a medic or pyro from their team is nearby, you can choose to finish them off with your secondary, or you can run and let the afterburn take care of the rest. If you have a shotgun equipped, you can chip at the enemy while he's burning, while you are farther off. This can help secure the kill of that player without putting your own life on the line. When using the stock flamethrower, secondary choice is pretty lenient. Almost all of the secondary weapons can be used without any significant problems, but in my experience, I tend to equip the shotgun, since it helps me when I need to chip at enemies from afar. Melee isn't really needed with the stock equipped, because at close range you can do most of the damage you need before you could even switch to melee in the first place. In this case, it might be okay to run melee weapons that serve a helpful function, such as the Homewrecker for removing sappers, or the Power Jack for a speed boost when you are not near a fight. Because of the flamethrower's uses as more of an ambush weapon, and its lack of the ability to be super aggressive against a pushing enemy, it forces you to think more intelligently about a situation on the battlefield. I found that after lots of practicing with the weapon, I ended up being way more careful which fights I would get into, and when I would even attack. Instead of rushing into a battle trusting in my degreaser's speed to somehow pull me through, I now choose my kills a little more wisely, and as a result, live much longer during a match. At the end of the day, I encourage you to practice with the stock flamethrower. You'll be surprised how fast you'll improve. Learning how to survive as Pyro is essential to mastering the class, and using this default weapon will definitely help you on your road to becoming a master of the class. Thank you for watching today. Feel free to comment about your experiences with the flamethrower, or any suggestions you have for another topic. I hope you enjoyed this commentary today, and I'll see you guys next time.